Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 1st of July, 2023. Happy Canada Day, all to my fellow Canadians. Or is it Happy Carbon Tax 2 Day? Or is it Up Yours, Canada, with love from our Liberal Party? All that and more come at the podcast. Please stick around. Listener and viewer discretion is advised because I do like to drop the odd F-bomb and I smoke cigarettes. So please stick around. Cheers.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Krusty Canuck Podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Krusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the episode 213 of the Krusty Canuck Podcast. And this podcast is brought to you in part by Battle Fit Bodywear. That's right. Be battle fit, be battle ready. Be limitless, be battle fit bodywear. Advert will come later. That's right. I'm your host, Krusty Canuck, on this beautiful 1st of July. Happy Canada Day, all. One big round of applause from my fellow Canadians out there. That's right. My Rumblers, my YouTubers, my Facebookers, and all my Podbeaners that are actually subscribed to my show. So thank you once again. Happy Canada Day, ladies and gentlemen. And as the title card said, yes, Happy Carbon Tax 2 Day. That's right. Today, of all days of this wonderful year in this wonderful country, carbon tax has gone up. That means you pay more at the pumps. You pay more for home heating or cooling, right? And more for groceries. So basically, cost of living has gone up an average of 13 to 16 cents Canada-wide, ladies and gentlemen. Now, here in the province of Alberta, okay, our province, our powers that be in our province have said no to it. So they're not putting the provincial sales tax part on gasoline, which is good, which will save us Albertans roughly 13 cents or more, depending on where you fill up. Now, I'll have some videos here from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Chris Sims from Alberta and Mr. Tetrazino is on the East Coast reporting in regards to the tax issue when it comes to carbon tax in this country. Now, we see a lot of hype all over the world in regards to fossil fuels being bad and gasoline and oil being terrible. And what gets me is that you have a generation of people, and not so much a whole generation of people, but you have people and you have Gen Xers like myself and some boomers out there that are advocating the kind of behavior to stop fossil fuels. Stop them. We have to stop oil because of climate emergency. We have to stop it because, yes, climate emergency. No, there's no fucking emergency, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I would agree that the weather is changing and there might be some things that we can do to stop maybe an onslaught or two of a terrible tornado or a terrible hurricane, which I highly doubt because I don't think we have the ability to control weather. We don't. I don't think we personally have it in our power, regardless of what technology is out there or anything behind closed doors. I don't know. But nobody ever said that taxing people into prosperity will stop any kind of onslaught. Now, you look at the tax rates of the average Canadian. The average Canadian is making anywhere from $49,000 to maybe $52,000 a year. Canadian, that is. Now look how much taxes have gone up in the past 8 years under the Liberal Party of Canada. Like I said in the title card, with love from the Liberal Party of Canada, because they think they're trying to save the world. They think they're saving us from something devastating. Like what? The poorhouse? Economic collapse? Animosity in the streets. I would think that based on their actions lately, they're advocating that kind of behavior. Now that they have risen from Parliament and they're off for the summer, another 6 to 9 week holiday that they usually like to take, twice a year. Okay. And I really don't care if any of these parliamentarians are watching this right now who might agree with me or disagree with me. I highly suggest you fuckers get back to work. Okay. Because there's a lot of Canadians I know personally, and especially yours truly, that can't really afford to take a week off or 2 weeks off on holiday because of this inflationary efforts, because of these inflationary efforts. I can't physically and financially afford to take my wife on a nice trip someplace. I cannot physically and financially afford to go to see my family on the other side of the country. Okay? And while people are sitting there bitching and moaning because of hate speech and certain words online, and because of big tech stepping in and saying, okay, we're going to take our product and go elsewhere because the government wants to promote bills C11, 18, and 36, respectively, in the name of protecting, okay, we're getting screwed there too. So you, my wonderful audience, you can't come online and see what you want to see, and you can't go fill your car up or your truck up and take your kids or take your wife or take your loved one to any kind of amusement park or anything at all because of this inflationary BS. And yet our politicians think they're doing us a favor by saving the world at the expense of the Canadian taxpayer. Interesting concept. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, please do. If you want to follow me on Twitter, my handle is very simple, Krusty Canuck, right? Or just follow my name. Just look for the logo there on your Twitter feed and just follow along if you want to. And weigh in on some of the comments too. I've had some lengthy debates with pro-liberal supporters in this country in regards to world diplomacy, and my worldview is skewed because I don't agree with their status quo. Their status quo consists primarily of having you bend over and taking it up the chuff again. That's their worldview, all in the name of progress and safety. They wouldn't do safety to hit him in the ass, ladies and gentlemen. No, really. And they wouldn't know safety if their mothers, who wiped their butts as children, gave it to them in a bowl with a straw.
Stay updated and follow Krusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at krustycanuck.ca.
And we're back at the Krusty Canuck podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Krusty Canuck, and thank you once again for the thumbs up in my last video, my Tuesday rants there, ladies and gentlemen. So a round of applause for you all there. You guys are awesome. I really, really appreciate what you guys are doing. And I really appreciate the fan base I am receiving. It's getting bigger, but because it's people like you that make it happen, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, thank you very much for the positive feedback. And if you get a chance, check out the fine couple at Northern Perspective. They have a wonderful channel on YouTube. Give them a shout. Watch their videos. They're very, very articulate and they're informative. They're extremely conservative, but they want freedom just like you and I do. They want the freedom just to go about their business and keep big government out of our lives, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that want the government to look after things for them. They want the government to have enough social programs out there to look after everybody. And this big, wonderful utopia, which is bullshit. Now, I'm all for social programs when it comes to helping people that really, really need a hand. But in order to keep these programs open, to keep them prosperous, to help the less fortunate in this country, you have to have a private sector that allows people to work, to make some money, to tuck some away, and to pay a fair tax rate. Okay. Now, the taxes we have now are due because of the Liberal Party's dishonest spending pattern. Okay. I'm all for helping the little guy when the little guy needs a hand. But I've also seen the powers that be spend ridiculous amounts of money on helping the less fortunate over here, less fortunate over there, rather than here. Okay. So I'm not seeing any real progress other than virtue totaling and finger wagging. Okay. And what annoys me the most too is that on my Twitter feed, I am seeing so many people worry about Pierre Poilievre's look recently. I guess he took off his glasses and did some press conferences without his glasses, right? And I'm thinking, okay, here's a man who's at His Majesty's opposition in our Canadian Parliament, and he's debating cold, hard facts, while the Liberal side of the aisle spend more time worrying about how he looks. Well, he's not wearing his glasses. Oh, look at him. Look what he's trying to do. Is that what you lefties worry about all the time? The appearance of things? Yet you're supposed to be the more tolerant side of the spectrum. You're supposed to be the more open and diverse and inclusive and tolerant. And yet you can't even handle how a guy looks on a day-to-day basis. So it's like competing with fucking high school kids again. Not that I'm dissing some teenagers that are out there trying to make a difference in today's world, but I'm not seeing any I'm not seeing any real progress from these wankers. You know what I mean? I'm not at all. I just, shake my effing head and go, hoy, what's going on here? Anyway, once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you like and hear what you see, please click like and subscribe. Share this podcast all over your social media platforms. You can find my podcast on Podbean, my host site, Rumble, Spotify, Amazon, Grow Radio UK, and Player FM, and of course on YouTube. And I add episodes to Instagram, and I also add episodes to my Twitter feed too. So like I say again, if you like and hear what you see, click like and subscribe. Share this content on all of your social media platforms. And if you'd like to purchase something from my store, there's a link in the description, Customized Girl /S/Krusty Canuck. I have hats, I have swimsuits, I have shorts, t-shirts, and other paraphernalia with the Krusty Canuck logo on it too. So please donate or actually buy some merch and wear the Krusty Canuck stuff proudly. So once again, happy Canada Day to my fellow Canadians. I'm wearing my flag proudly too. I'll be going with my wife a bit later to take part in the Canada Day celebrations at our local base here. Have some burgers, maybe a couple of beers, watch some fireworks, hang out with some friends, and then we'll just kind of carry on as per. So like I say, anyway, carrying on with this whole episode, 213. Happy Canada Day, or Happy Carbon Tax Day 2, or up yours, Canada. Would love from the little party. Now, you've heard me ramble on about Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland and Jagmeet Singh and all this other garbage. And people forget that these politicians are still people. Okay. Yes. They're still people and they deserve respect. Use that term loosely. But what I'm noticing on the left side of the spectrum is that everyone is so worried about hate speech and hateful words. And we have to crack down on these things. For what? I'd like to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that comfort is not a right. Okay? Now, if you're reading something and you post something, you write a paragraph, or you write an essay, or write a story, it doesn't matter what conglomerate you work with, and someone gives you a rebuttal, well, can you take it? Okay? But I'm also hearing a lot of bleeding hearts out there in regards to hateful words, and you're spreading violence and all this hate and division. And yet you forget what side has created a lot of division in the past 10 years, especially the past 8 years here in Canada. Our beloved Prime Minister took it upon himself to call people racist and misogynist and deny the science and all conspiracy theorists and all tinfoil hat wearing, morons, basically. And yet when the convoy went to Ottawa to make a difference, people don't know what to think. So I'd like to remind the libtards out there, and I will call them libtards because they're not really progressing fast enough. They're a little too slow for my liking. Honk honk does not mean you know what. Hail to the little man with a mustache. Okay? The people at Diagolon are not, they're not bad people. It's military humor at its finest. Okay? And they're not going to overthrow their government and split North America into their projected little conservative paradise. Okay? Nobody that I know personally wants to split this country up into some kind of paradise. The majority of people that I have talked to, interacted with, and on my Twitter feed, on Facebook, and other social media platforms, they want an end to big government. They want to keep their money. They want to come home from a hard day, turn on the lights, cook some supper for their family or their friends or their loved ones, and just carry on about their lives. Basic liberty, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it is. I'll be right back after this message and message from my sponsor. Cheers.
Stay updated and follow Krusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at krustycanuck.ca.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Krusty Canuck here. Just to remind you, my wonderful audience out there, that Battlefit Bodywear was founded in Windsor, Essex, Ontario in 2019 and is a proud Canadian company. All of our apparel and accessories are purchased and printed right in our hometown by local independent business owners. And we pride ourselves on quality and customer satisfaction. At Battlefit Bodywear, we believe that every person has a warrior with them waiting to come out. Our brand is meant to inspire and fan the internal flame. Regardless of what your thing is, take it to the next level and be the best version of yourself that you can be. We also believe in that maintaining balanced lifestyle is a key to a good life and includes having a regimented and productive fitness and exercise schedule. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline will get you across the finish line. Get there with Battlefit Bodywear. Krusty Canuck says so. Cheers. And just as a reminder, too, you can follow and subscribe to me on these platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Rumble. And you can find out more information about myself at krustycanuck.ca. That's www.krustycanuck.ca. Check out my bio and what I do and what I believe in, all that good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, carrying on with episode 213. Yes, 213. Yes. Happy Canada Day or happy Carbon Tax Day or Up Yours Canada with love from the Liberal Party. Now, I'm thinking it's more of an up yours issue from our government because a lot of these individuals got in based on a wing and a prayer and a promise of a kiss and a reach around. And we know better, right? Now, we've had our reach arounds and we've had our fun over here and over there without the actual lubrication or without permission. And I tell you, I'm sore. I am sore with all the paying out that I've had to do. Okay, this week alone, because of my work schedule, I've had to fill up my truck at least twice, back and forth, going in earlier, trying to go above and beyond for my boss, which is a great guy. You know, him and his whole family have done great things for the employees at his place, and I'm very, very grateful that I have a job with those individuals. But I'm not grateful for the fact that I got to pay more at the pumps. And I'm not grateful to the fact that the CRA, Canada Revenue Agency, my American friends, they're just like the IRS. Greedy little bastards, they are, right? And I'm not grateful for that at all, too. Now, I've had some interesting debates with some people on the Twitter feed in regards to military service in this country. Now, I did 20 years, a regular infantry soldier. Saw my share of stuff in 2003 and my experiences in 2007, and I'll maybe compile some stories or something like later on. But I saw my share of chaos, ladies and gentlemen. And regardless of how tiny our military was, there was a camaraderie and a brotherhood there that will live in infamy, as far as I'm concerned. And what annoys me the most is that you have some people weigh in saying, well, my father served here, and my great uncle served here, and my grandfather served here. And you want to know something? That's great. That's fantastic, because those men and women rolled up their sleeves and they took on the Nazi and the Japanese onslaught during that time. But what about the men and women that serve now? And what about the men and women that served during Afghanistan? What about the men and women that served during the Balkans conflicts back in the 90s? How about those men and women that were told to shut up about certain things? Those men and women that were told not to say anything about this firefight or this sniper or this guy or that guy or this situation or that situation. What about that? Where did our history all of a sudden turn and Canadian citizens forgot about the sacrifice that men and women made during peace support and peacekeeping operations? Right? When do these politicians decide that, well, we're not a real military because we're just peacekeepers, so we really don't need this and we don't need that? Well, guess again. Because in order to keep the peace, you have to understand how a war works. You have to understand what happens. You have to understand the pros and cons of a battle so it doesn't happen again. So therefore, you can send in the peacekeepers and send in the peacemakers if need be. Okay? Now, here's an example. To some of my civilian friends that don't understand actual military concept, let me use this as an analogy. Say you got a referee, and in order for a referee to become an NHL referee, he or she has to train this way. They have to work their way up. Now, some of them were hockey players before, some of them weren't. Okay, but they have to understand how the game works. They have to understand the rules and regulations before they go to the next level. They have to be quick on their feet. They have to call a play. They have to call a penalty when it's necessary, call offside when it's necessary, award the goal properly when it's done. Okay? And in order to maintain that level of entertainment, to keep the game going, the referee has to know what he or she is doing. Okay? Now you take the peacekeeping concept. It's the same thing. You have to know how this works, have to know how that works. You have to prepare for a battle in case it happens. Just like a referee has to prepare for a fight in case it happens, or prepare for an unfair call in case it happens, to know the game. Canadian soldiers know the game. We've known the game for a long time because we're taught that through every generation, and so on and so on. But the federal government doesn't want to fund it properly. They spend too much time worrying about boards and this tender and that tender and this group and that group. Oh, what's the board going to say? Well, we have to have boards, more boards. Just think of the Swedish chef, bork, all that BS. Nothing can get done, but we can give away billions to this country and give away billions to that country. We can send our men and women into harm's way without adequate vests, helmets, and the ability to feed themselves. And yet some of these clowns, these liberals, liberal leaning or these left leaning people who brag about their relatives' commitment, what are your commitments? What are you willing to sacrifice for this country like your grandparents did or your great uncles or your fathers did? I made a point of saying this in one of my Tuesday rant episodes. What have you done? You forget that your generation had the ability to go to school, to get better education, to get better jobs because of the sacrifices of your great uncles and grandfathers and fathers alike. Okay? You forget that. And then you instill in us, the Generation Xers, that, well, Canada doesn't need this. Canada doesn't need that. Oh, Canada's never going to get hurt. Canada's not going to go through this. We're going through it right now, mofos. We're going through it right now. In our classrooms with indoctrination, in our universities with indoctrination, and within our legal and our political systems with more indoctrination and woke ethics and what ifs rather than what is and what's going to happen. So this Canada Day, let's be thankful for Canada. There's a few friends and people I've talked to and a few people that I admire that have said different things who don't agree with this, and rightfully so. And that's the joy about being in Canada. You can agree or disagree or agree to agree or disagree. Doesn't matter. I personally don't care who's gay, straight, bi, tri, whatever, as long as two consenting adults enjoy each other's company and they want to love each other, fucking knock yourselves out. I don't care. My lifestyle is not going to be compromised because there might be a gay person here or a lesbian here or a bisexual there. I don't care. Live and let live, right? Isn't that the classical liberal mantra? Is that not the classical liberal stance? Didn't Voltaire say something like that many moons ago in regards to, I may disagree with what you say, but I will fight for your fucking right to say it nonetheless? Have we forgotten that? To my American listeners, have we forgotten that? To my British and Australian and German listeners alike, have we forgot that principle? There are people out there who don't want free speech because they hate bad words. There's people out there who don't want freedom of expression because they disagree with your lifestyle, yet they prefer to walk around every June with their ding dong hanging out going, oh, look at me, I'm free. Freedom for me, but none for you, right? Rules for thee, but none for me, right? Do as I say, not as I do. That sounds very, very socialist, doesn't it? Very, very communist. See, socialism you vote in, communism, it's forced on you, right? Two sides of roughly the same coin. Just like fascism and communism, two sides of the same coin. Shuffle some paperwork and there's the difference. But it's totalitarian nonetheless. So we as Canadians, we as North Americans, and my American listeners and my listeners from all over the planet, if you have a liberal government, like a very, very liberal-minded government, a liberal country, where you can go about and make money and do your thing and pay your mortgage and pay your bills and have an ice cream or see this or see that and love who you want, then it's time that we stand up and defend that value, right? Starting here, my American listeners, starting in your state or in your county, to my Canadian listeners, starting in our districts or in our counties too, the municipal and the provincial, and then finally the federal. But while we still have this platform, ladies and gentlemen, let us keep expressing ourselves as freely as possible, regardless of what some snowflake says, or what this dude says, or this girl says, or this person that identifies as a shoe says. Keep saying it. Keep speaking your mind. Do it well. Do it to the best of your ability. Stand firm, stand high. It's that simple. Now, I would like to be out there protesting. I would have loved to have been with the convoy. But like I said, because of my financial situation, I couldn't do it. All right? And you have people that back up the convoy saying they did a great job, and people say they didn't do a great job. But then there was roughly 298 people that had their bank accounts frozen, their assets frozen, because they were deemed as terrorists, domestic terrorists. And yet they were protesting and fighting a good fight, saying enough of these mandates. But in the same sense, if the federal government's going to do that to our citizens and yet not persecute or prosecute individuals that burnt how many churches down, you can see a contrast here in context here, who they favor or not. The sitting government in this country right now says, oh, yes, we believe in expression and freedom. But their actions have proven we believe in expression and freedom as long as you walk our line. Je will eat the bugs and like them, jawohl. Right? What's that sound like? Interesting. But then again, they just keep proving that they don't care about you or me or anybody else.
Stay updated and follow Krusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at krustycanuck.ca.
And welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen. Krusty Canuck Podcast, episode 213. That is right. Episode 213. Happy Canada Day or happy Carbon Tax 2 Day or up yours, Canada, with love from the Liberal Party. That's right. You can see my title card here, Justin Trudeau leaning down, taking one of his many selfies, how he did that. Yes, he did that. His party did that. Krista Freeland, because she's such a great financier. That's right. The pint size, you know what. It rhymes with hunt. It rhymes with the word hunt. I'm not going to say it because I might have some female listeners going, oh my God. Anyways, just words. But needless to say, we're all adults here. We can handle the bad words, the bad language. All I can say is we shall persevere. I don't have any viable solution, to end the carbon taxes, other than if I was elected, I would table legislation after legislation to end the carbon tax. It's basically a cash grab. How can this country of 40 million people, this tiny little populace compared to our land masses, how can we save the world based in carbon taxes? How can we do that? Right? Stop driving cars, stop driving trucks. Are we going to start moving meat and fish back and forth across the country via wagon train? Okay. Unless we dry it, make some jerky. Maybe it could be efficient, right? How are we going to heat our homes come the winter? See, where I live in Canada, okay, my part of the country, okay, just east of Edmonton, we have record temperatures anywhere from minus 40 to minus 45. Okay, that's a nice dry cold, right? That's nasty. And yet there's powers that be that want to get rid of fossil fuels altogether. Okay, so we're going to heat our houses. We're going to go to local farmers and grab shit patties and burn shit. Are we going to collect a lot of wood like our ancestors did, like the first settlers did when they built log cabins and homesteads? They had something to burn, right? Is that what you want us to do? Right? See, carbon is plant food, ladies and gentlemen. This is like grade 6 and grade 10 science, how plants thrive. The more plants, right, the cleaner the air. The less plants, less clean the air, right? That's simple. We were taught this back in the 80s and the 90s when they used to instill the whole ozone layer emergency. Oh, we'll kill all these plants with a big hole in the sky. Now, I guess the ozone layer has repaired itself. Ooh, look, nature taking over, doing something wonderful. Who knew? Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I have been Krusty Canuck on this beautiful Canada Day 2023. To my American listeners out there, I look forward to your celebrations on the 4th. I will be back at work, though. But, nonetheless, I look forward to all the memes and the sayings and expression on glorifying your independence from the British. Yes, but still, happy 4th of July to my American listeners and friends out there, too. And happy Canada Day to all of my Canucks. Happy Canada Day, ladies and gentlemen. Regardless of what's been going on here in the world and going on in this country, still, please take a few minutes to reflect on the sacrifices that were made for us. Right? From World War II, from Korea, to the peacekeepers, and even to some of those Canadians that went across the border and fought alongside the Americans in the Vietnam War. And to every Canadian that sacrificed his or her life for the greater good, for the welfare and the freedom of other individuals today. Hooah to my infantry brothers. Hooah to my Marine brothers. And I don't know what else to say other than take care of yourselves and enjoy yourselves and be safe. And enjoy this Canada Day for all it is. To you and yours, happy Canada Day from the Krusty Canuck Podcast. And I will have another episode up this Tuesday of my Tuesday rant. I don't know what the topic is just yet. I might figure something out. Depends what's going to happen in the news the next couple of days, but I'll find something to rant about too. So like I say, if you like to hear what you see, click like and subscribe. Share this content all of your social media platforms, and give me a comment or two if you see this on the tube as well. Give me a thumbs up, like, comment, share it all over the place too. Get more comments going, helps the algorithm, gets Canadian content out there to other Canadians and to my American friends too, if you want to see it. But please, thumbs up, give me a comment, all that good stuff, and do what you can. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, look after your friends and family. Help your neighbors out in these trying times. And always remember, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you Tuesday. Bye for now.
Stay updated and follow Krusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at krustycanuck.ca.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Krusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Krusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.